Everyone, I am Christina Lynch and I reside in Tallahassee, Florida. I am a first generation American with my family derived from Barbados. So I am the CEO of Trydent Consulting, where we offer management accounting and program management services to businesses and agencies. I'm also the interim executive director of the American Herbalist Guild, which is the largest clinical herbalist association in the United States. I am the founder of Black Herbalist Alliance, so definitely working on building this nonprofit that can provide Black forward support within the herbal realm. In addition to a myriad of other things that I do, so I'm a volunteer. I am a lady with no kids, no pets, but a bunch of tea and herbs, and really excited to be here with Ken.
That's okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Christina Lynch and I reside in Tallahassee, Florida. I am a first generation American with my family derived from Barbados. So I am the CEO of Trydent Consulting, where we offer management accounting and program management services to businesses and agencies. I'm also the interim executive director of the American Herbalist Guild, which is the largest clinical herbalist association in the United States. I am the founder of Black Herbalist Alliance, so definitely working on building this nonprofit that can provide Black forward support within the herbal realm. In addition to a myriad of other things that I do, so I'm a volunteer. I am a lady with no kids, no pets, but a bunch of tea and herbs, and really excited to be here with Ken.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for your time. We are honored. I know that the audience that watches this episode is in for a treat. I can't wait to hear about the herbs, the teas, and everything that you want to enlighten us on and share with us, especially about wellness, self-care, and highlighting some of the events that you have coming up, and where you're blazing your trail this year, the end of this year and the beginning of next. How did you get your start in the business part of helping people with navigating business, and then transition into the herbal side of what you do, or like which one came first, or how did that work out?
Yeah, it's all a bloody mess. So I'm a woman that have lived like 6,000 lives, maybe 6 lives, not 6,000. So I actually wanted to be a teacher my whole entire childhood. And I am a alumna of the Florida State University, go Seminoles. Once I got to orientation, my father was like, yeah, you can pick anything but that. And so I was really kind of at a crossroad, only because I'm very much, when I want something, I'm fixated on that one thing. So I chose the hardest degree in the accounting school, which is accounting. And from there, learned how indecisive I was. So I earned degrees in accounting, finance, and HR. Thought I wanted to go into HR. So I went into HR, and then all right, I got a master's, and then realized, $50,000 later, I don't want to do that full time anymore. So through that, it's like this quasi experience of, I was lucky enough to work through college and get jobs that were in the field in which I was working towards, but also I had to work to college. So it's kind of like, there's that good and bad there. But I was able to get my first management degree fairly early in my career with a small business. And that really that believed in me, that invested in me. And then, life happens and people see life in different perspectives. And so I job hopped every few years. I will say that after fourth or fifth time, at some point you're like, man, I really like helping small businesses, but I didn't like a lot of the constraints that came with working in a business full time. And so this idea that, one, I can't be myself, my hair has to be a certain way. When you're the only minority and you represent an entire demographic, all of these things become this weighted burden on us, especially as Black women. So that part was like one piece where I gained a lot of experience. I always say that when you work for a small business, you are in the trenches. So you don't just learn like a specialized skill, you really have to learn a wider range of skill sets in order to be able to be successful in that environment. In addition to that, I just had, these hiccups where I leave one job, but they want me to stay part-time. And I wanted to kind of keep that momentum going. So that's kind of how I built my clientele initially, in going from just being someone's full-time employee to unofficially starting this business. There was one year in particular where my small consulting firm, just my clients didn't need me, and I was so bored. And I didn't know what to do because I worked through college. I just, I was always doing something. And there was this one class like on rose. And I was just like, you know what? I like spices. Your girl likes to eat. Let me see what this class is about. And I really liked how I felt when I left. So it wasn't necessarily the content, but that feeling of I feel at peace. I feel like these people see me for who I am and not for what I offer or this employee. And I just kind of leaned into that feeling and learning what herbalism is. So my herbal journey started about 8 years ago, kind of aligning with my job. And it went from this hobby or this interest to wanting to learn more about it. So I kind of lived two lives for a while. I started learning more about herbs. I decided I'm really into tea, so I was going for a like a tea sommelier certification and diving deep into this Camellia sinensis plant. And they just kind of glazed over herbal. And I'm like, that's a lot of plants to glaze over. And I had to
Yeah.
took 8 modules on one plant. So I did, what a lot of people do. What's that over there? So I went down the herbalism track. And I still ain't finished that tea certification. So we're going to get back to it.
Okay.
But I lived two lives. So during the day, I was like this boss woman making these moves, sometimes being people's enemies and trying to like really work my way up the ladder and create this impact. And then I would go home and be sitting laying in the grass on the, or being barefoot, trying to learn about the plants and communicate. And at some point, it became exhausting because on the corporate side, I was eclectic or weird or Christina. If you see anything strange, it probably belongs to Christina. And then on the herbal side, it's she's of the system, she's the
Um,
enemy. Right. I'm a root cause analysis person, and that's what I'm learning. And I'm like, something's got to give. This is not life. And my resolution was Trydent. And it wasn't, I had this business that was named something else, but it wasn't representing me as an individual. And I was really focused on how can I be the same person regardless of where I go. I was tired of pretending to be what everyone else wanted me to be. And I just wanted to be Christina. So Trident Consulting is kind of this evolution of I'm people's accountants and CFOs and office managers, their tax person, the person they get mad at when the IRS notices come back, whatever it is. And then on the other side, I can still be this herbalist and I can still be an empath and I can still create these experiences where we reconnect with our ancestors and we reconnect with ourselves and it be one because I am a Bayesian American. My family is indigenous. My family is of the earth, and I don't think they needed to be separate. So Trident was the solution for me to be able to be myself regardless. And then Black Herbalist Alliance is an extension of that of I can help our people with money, but I can still help us with herbs too.
I love that you dropped so many beautiful gems in expressing how you created a very unique and customized solution to transitioning from one industry to the next, but also trying to navigate not losing yourself in this sort of identities that people wanted to box you into. And I think it takes a certain level of confidence, determination, and persistence to say, I'm not going to lose myself while navigating, figuring out what my niche actually is, but also creating something new out of all of those experiences. I think it's a great lesson to future professionals and even those who are interested in entrepreneurship who feel like they have to be a certain thing to be able to be relatable, to be seen, and to also find their tribe, their customer base. I love that you created something unique to you, unique to your personality, and it has a plethora of skills and it still serves your community. That's so inspiring and it's wonderful.
Thank you. It's
Yeah,
been a journey.
yes, I'm sure it has. I love the way you express your experience. Okay. What are some challenges that you have faced most recently in navigating, expanding Trydent Consulting? What has been some
Mm.
of the hurdles or just things you've had to navigate? What has been some of those struggles or
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, There's so much to entrepreneurship. We all have our passions, we have our strengths, and hopefully our focus on impacting our customers, our community. In the beginning, it's pretty simple, right? I had a side hustle, it worked out, I'm going to lean into it more. That's typically our approach to a lot of our business.
Several things have been heavily impacted since the start of 2025, and it's definitely the availability of resources to support women in business. And a lot of people are being financially impacted by the changes in the various markets, by the weakening of the US currency. And so I decided to do a thing, okay? I started a virtual business through E1U Life, an AI automation company that helps you manage your business with the support of artificial intelligence. Not only do they offer you the tools to manage your business, they also offer you a way to diversify your investments through earning Bitcoin on autopilot. When I tell you I have been earning Bitcoin in my sleep, it surprises me, okay? And right now, E1U Life is having a very, very special entry point where you can start your business for under $30. And you can start to learn how to navigate managing and automating your systems with AI. You can get the support that you need, but not only can you support your business, you can turn your AI systems into a business to help other people. So you can create a new stream of revenue, you can earn Bitcoin on autopilot, and you can also automate your business processes. I don't want to give it all away because when I tell you it's such a huge, huge, big thing, it's such a huge gift that keeps giving. I want you to click the link, even if you aren't sure if you want to start a business through E1U Life. I want you to click the link so that you can at least educate yourself on the opportunities that are available to you. For less than $30, you can start your business today. You can start earning Bitcoin to beat the rate of inflation of the US currency, as well as start learning how to automate your business.
When they say more money, more problems, y'all, them problems be more for real. You're right. Then you start realizing you ain't following all the rules. You're like, oh, there was a rule for that. Oh, my bad. Let me close that gap. Let me cross that T. So I would say like some of the challenges that I'm facing is, and some of us are good. I have more work than time. And it's a great problem to have, but then you got to pay people. So it's like it takes the fun out of it. Because I'm like, wait, that's money that's supposed to go to me. And like really reflecting and looking at what are your goals. So when I'm doing strategic planning and consulting with my clients, especially those that might be early stage, I'll have these candid conversations. What do you want? And are you willing to do what it takes to get there? Because we all talk the lavish dreams, but the effort is not usually part of that dream. So that business planning part is really critical because when your business is growing, there are additional resources that are needed that are going to cost us money. And you have to be willing to put that money in, and you have to be willing to invest in your business. And a lot of times people want risk-free dollars. That's not how business works. Entrepreneurship is you are all in. And so when you're not all in, how can you expect someone else to put money into something that you don't believe in? So that was hard for me because I am more conservative financially, unless it has something to do with food and travel. Your girl is like, that's 3 paper towels, put one back. So
Yes.
to learn, like Christina, you got to use that debt. You got to learn to leverage debt and leverage it to be able to expand that foundation to support that growth. I have the one crossroad I'm at currently is I have staff, but I have to stop trying to be like the scrum master. I can't have everybody waiting for me to tell them what to do anymore. I can't be their project manager. I need for you to own this area and make those decisions. It's like when we worked in the restaurants, or like I was a mall girl and they gave you the key. And imagine giving an 18-year-old a key and saying lock up the whole store. But that's what happens in retail. At some point, you have to put trust and faith in that person. And also the risk that if everything doesn't work out, it's fixable. So I'm at this crossroad where I have to now say, look, here it is. I need help. And being able to find the people to support you in that. A lot of entrepreneurs will say, nobody, nobody does it like they do it. I can't find good people. And sometimes I'm the worst person to ask because it might be you. Are you
Yes.
creating that culture? Are you putting forth faith in that person? Do you have good judgment in who you're hiring? And so sometimes we have to look at what our decisions, where our faith lies in order to move forward. And I've had about 3 full assistants, y'all. And it's because I've set them up for failure. They didn't have a chance because I wasn't prepared to be able to give them the keys to say open and close the store. And so, or I didn't give them the resources to be successful. And then I'm upset when they don't do a good job. So I've had to learn creating culture, investing in people. Yes, they might leave. You left somebody's job too. It's part of what we do, right? As entrepreneurs. And then, truth be told, this is one that a lot of entrepreneurs deal with. And I'm going to speak specifically to Black women right now. That
Okay.
imposter syndrome is real.
Yes.
And I had this
Yes.
conversation with a client this morning of this recording of, we have been groomed to focus on our shortcomings, and it's not about our shortcomings. So we have to stop telling folk or telling ourselves, I didn't do that. Y'all better start tapping into the inner politician. No, I accomplished this. I did that. Our audacity at times is not high enough. So we need to
Yes.
toot our own horn, take the pause and say, what are my accomplishments? Quantify it so that way we can then communicate it externally and then understand that you're not going to make everyone happy and not everyone's going to support you, but don't give them people a reason to think that you're lesser than. And that's me talking to that to myself too. I don't communicate my accomplishments because I have been groomed that I'm not good enough in some ways, and I'm afraid to communicate it because what are people going to say?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God. Like it couldn't have been more perfectly stated. Imposter syndrome is plaguing small business owners, women in leadership, especially women of color in leadership. And I actually recently, about a month ago, attended a women's entrepreneurial retreat where the name of the retreat was Audacity. And it was about embracing that boldness, stepping into your power, leveraging your skills, your niche, your network, but also finding that balance between self-care and business so that you don't experience burnout. And I have to say, I met some really bold, amazing women that I got to learn from. I got to learn more about myself. And I even had to come to terms with some of the self-sabotaging self-talk, the behaviors, and the way that I was showing up in spaces where I needed to just show up and own them, like you said. Even with me being like the type of person with a lot of confidence that takes risks, I still had moments where I was not showing up in spaces. So thank you for sharing that. And we have to have the audacity. One thing that I have observed about men in business, they move with the most audacity and the most boldness. They do not ask for permission, but they will ask for forgiveness. And they blaze the trail, no looking back. And so I think if we adopt that as women, we could see ourselves cover a lot more ground a lot quicker, and even be perceived in spaces as being more competent and capable of what it is that we say we can do.
Absolutely. Because we're taking that authority that we already have.
Absolutely. Because you have the expertise, you have the experience, and we just have to show up that way. And it's okay. Whoever isn't rocking with it, it's just they aren't our tribe, they aren't our customer, they aren't our partner.
And it's also being able to identify, and you mentioned it earlier, but identifying who is that customer. And once you know that, and a lot of times we don't know our customer until you're in it.
You don't know. You get the jewels on the journey.
Yes.
That's what I like to say. You pick up the jewels along the journey. I had a conversation with a woman who works in finance earlier. I did a few interviews earlier today. A friend of mine, Tiffany, and she works in finance, and she also helps small business owners grow their businesses, increase their income, and get higher level positions. And one thing that in our conversation that we had, she said that she had just recently rewatched the movie The Wiz. And you know how in The Wiz, they were so hyper focused on the destination of getting to the wizard, the grand wizard. And when they arrived there, they realized it was a whole facade. That the destination was a whole facade. It was fake. He wasn't a real wizard. It was all bells and whistles. And they had actually all conquered and overcome their fears on the way to the wizard.
Right.
So they had collected their jewels on a journey. And that has really been the theme of all of the conversations that I've had with women in business today. And I think it's absolutely wonderful and a very full circle moment.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. And what I've learned today too is that all of our journeys are more alike than we think. No matter what space we're working in, what background we have, what expertise, our journeys are much more alike than what we think.
I agree. Social media taught me that.
Social media is interesting. It's like this bittersweet thing for me. So I wonder, what are some of your predictions for 25 innovations within your fields?
Innovations within our field. So accounting is interesting because there's a shortage of accountants. Accountants are dying in the field. So there's regulation. Obviously, administration affects a lot of the tax approach.